phone call, okay, from whoever saying that the person that you love most in this world and the person that you are married to has been shot. How fast you getting off that phone?
Mikey started calling me.
I called Erika.
Called me within seconds. And I'll never forget him just being like, Charlie's been shot. He's been shot. Get the kids. Get security. Get the kids. Get the kids. He's been shot. I sprinted out of her treatment center. Just collapsed in the middle of the parking.
Candace Owens wasn't holding back when she said, I want war with all of you. Write your articles, issue your statements, email the White House. I want war with all of you. That was her exact line. And she meant every word of it. She's done staying quiet, and now she's taking direct aim at what she feels is a whole circle of people trying to twist the story. And right in the middle of it, Erika Kirk is already back on stage, smiling, promoting fresh projects, and brushing off anyone who tries to ask real questions. That vibe alone has folks online saying something feels off, and Candace is blasting the situation louder than ever. Candace didn't just call Erika out, she went full force. She thinks this isn't just grief, not just confusion, but something way deeper happening behind the scenes. In her eyes, people are trying to block the truth, shape the story, and distract from what really went down with Charlie Kirk, and she's done pretending everything is normal. One of the biggest points she brought up is the messy phone call issue between Mikey McCoy and Erika Kirk. Their stories don't match, not even close, and that has people wondering why two adults who lived the same moment somehow remember it completely differently. That alone had social media blowing up with questions. Then Candace started talking about Erika's forgiveness speech, the one that felt strangely fast and strangely polished. She says the whole thing had a calculated tone, almost like it was meant to control the narrative instead of offering genuine emotion. People watching it felt the same way, saying the timing didn't sit right at all. And that's not even the wildest part. Footage from the scene reportedly vanished within minutes, gone before anyone could even ask for it.
Zoom in on that here in a second, and then you can see him walking out on his phone behind a tent. Charlie is getting loaded into the van, and Mikey is seen over here, back turned on the phone. This is weird, right? But even weirder is this. Zooming in closer, Mikey's reaction right when Charlie was shot. Look, he pulls his phone out to his ear without even pressing any buttons. Watch closely. Arms folded, phone right to his ear.
Candace thinks insiders might be stepping in, blocking access, pushing things aside, and keeping the public from seeing the full picture. That's the part that has people looking around like, who exactly is making these calls? Candace ended with something that raised every eyebrow. I know there's not much time. That line shook viewers because it sounded like she believes the truth is being pushed deeper and deeper until it disappears completely. And she wants people to wake up before that happens. Before anything else, let's get one thing straight. We're not rehashing what happened to Charlie Kirk here. Everyone watching already knows the situation, so let's stay locked on the real story. The behavior, the contradictions, and the moves happening right now. Because here's the part that stunned everyone. Charlie reportedly wrote messages back in 2018 saying he felt he might not be around to see things play out. He told Candace he might not see the whole revolution through, and that message hits way harder today. This situation is getting louder by the hour. That whole message from years ago hits completely different now, and it sends a chill through anyone paying attention. And here's what's really setting Candace off. The sudden shift Erika Kirk made right after everything happened. Instead of staying focused on getting answers, Erika went from grieving widow to CEO and chairman in record time, like she stepped straight into a high-rank role without even pausing. That move alone had people whispering, and Candace is saying it out loud with no hesitation.
And I don't know how the executives over at Turning Point USA sleep at night, okay? I don't know how you can present yourselves as a Christian organization and not be dedicating yourself to the truth. No matter what the cost is, you tell the truth, that's it, okay? You don't hide it, you don't try to obfuscate it, you don't try to say, well, wait until the memorial event before we start looking into who murdered him.
Instead of demanding clarity, Erika is out here asking everyone for forgiveness and pushing the let's move forward line. Meanwhile, key evidence is reportedly being held back or scrubbed clean, and people who ask honest questions are being painted as conspiracy thinkers or even anti-Christian. That kind of label shuts people up real quick. A little too convenient, don't you think? Now here's where things jump from strange to flat out bizarre. Within 834 milliseconds of the gunshot, shot, right? Not seconds, not moments, less than 1 single second. Mikey McCoy already had his phone pressed to his ear. He didn't duck, didn't flinch, didn't freeze. He just walked off calmly, talking like he was placing a delivery order, and all around him, people were screaming, running, losing it because they thought they were in danger. That contrast is wild. Then comes the contradiction that Candace refuses to ignore. Pastor Rob McCoy, Mikey's father, said that Mikey called him instantly and told him, "Dad, Charlie's been shot in the neck." But Erika now claims she was on the phone with Mikey right after it happened. Both statements can't be true at the same time, so something is off, and seriously off. And here's why it matters so much. The official timeline keeps shifting. If Mikey supposedly knew it was a neck hit within seconds, how did he know that so fast? Witnesses say there was no visible blood on him, but Rob claimed he had blood all over his clothes. Two completely different versions from people who should be on the same page. It just doesn't line up. Security specialists even stepped in and said Mikey's reaction doesn't match normal human behavior during an incident like that.
And I guess my question back would be, what is there for me to address? She hasn't sat down for a long interview. All we have seen from Erika has been the speech at the memorial event for Charlie Kirk. I see the innuendo that is online. I am interested in investigating who killed Charlie Kirk. And the people that I have been reserving my ire for, my smoke for, my investigation for.
Most people either freeze from shock, panic, try to help the person next to them, or run for their life. Mikey did none of those. He made a calm phone call and strolled away. So Candace hit the question everyone else was scared to ask. Who was he actually calling? And why was that his first instinct? For real, if a close friend right beside you suddenly got hit, your first move wouldn't be to casually make a phone call. Nobody thinks like that during a traumatic moment. It just doesn't match real life reactions at all. That's why people are staring at this timeline like, what is going on? Speaking of the timeline, let's break down the part that's seriously troubling. On September 10th, Charlie lost his life. By September 19th or 21st, and not even 2 weeks later, Erika was already giving a memorial speech calling for instant forgiveness. That's barely 10 days between losing her husband and publicly forgiving the person behind the incident. Yes, everyone handles grief differently, but Candace noticed something that thousands of other viewers picked up too. Erika's presence felt polished, not heartbroken. She's doing interviews, standing for photos, launching new content, and pushing her message with the same practiced tone every single time. And the more she stays perfectly composed, the more people start asking what's really going on. Erika kept repeating the same line. Move forward, donate to Turning Point. This is what Charlie would want. And people couldn't help noticing how the whole message felt more like marketing than mourning. There was no push for full transparency, no raw grief shown publicly, no moment of real outrage at what happened. Even Joe Rogan spoke on it, saying that normally when someone close to you gets hit like that, the reaction is pure shock.
Are the people that are blatantly lying. Okay, people that are just lying about Charlie Kirk. That was my reason for going after Alex Clark. She lied about the Catholic thing. That was my reason for going after Andrew Colvett, Mikey McCoy. Anybody that's told a lie, Rob McCoy, blood all over him, you got my attention. What lie has Erika told that I'm supposed to be focused on? Okay, like has she said something about, did she come out and say, Charlie never had an issue? I just think it's like, I don't know, it just feels so unfair to me to assign the amount of.
But Erika's reaction almost looked like she was managing a brand instead of dealing with heartbreak. While the investigation barely moves, Erika's out here promoting new directions and big plans for the organization like nothing ever happened. And Candace wasn't holding back. She said straight up that if her partner went through something like that, she'd tear the entire planet apart until she knew exactly who was involved and why it happened. That's how most people would react, right? But instead, what the public is seeing is instant forgiveness without any accountability at all. And Candace called it exactly how many people feel. She said this isn't strength, this isn't high-minded peace. She believes it looks like manipulation. Real transparency would mean releasing documents, naming the people involved, showing the receipts, and letting the public see exactly what was going on behind the scenes. But that's not what's happening. Instead, we're getting polished statements about healing and moving forward, like the script was written before questions even started. Now here's the part that seriously made people's alarms go off. Within 4 minutes of the incident, not hours, not later that night, but 4 minutes, a staffer from the organization reportedly removed a surveillance camera. And not just any camera, one of the key angles. When people asked why he did that, he told Candace, "I did it to protect Erika from seeing traumatic footage." But here's the huge problem. Candace had already seen a FaceTime angle, and she said it showed no heavy blood and was actually the least intense footage out of all of them.
Pressure that is on her right now, she has not come out and said anything to me that makes her suspicious, because I understand how that organ works, and I understand how people, when they are motivated by money, how they don't even think about these things. It can be so gross. See this go out, irrespective of how you feel. You should know that those decisions are not made by Erika. That's what it means to step into a company of that size and that scale, okay? Their focus is going to be something different. And she has had, I think, a tremendous amount of grace in the speech that she gave, which I thought was very inspiring. And we should similarly have grace, give her time to get her, first and foremost.
So why would that particular camera be the first thing anyone rushed to remove? And bigger question, why wasn't the first priority preserving the crime scene? And why has none of the footage been released publicly when the organization promised a full transparency report? We're still waiting and nothing has appeared. Then we move into the part that gun specialists can't stop talking about. The official explanation claims it was a high-powered rifle at close range. Experts say that caliber should have passed straight through in that type of scenario. No hesitation. And yet the story says it didn't because Charlie supposedly had extremely dense bones like Man of Steel, which stopped the round. Gun experts responded saying that explanation didn't make sense at all. They said that type of bullet would drop a grown adult instantly and wouldn't just stop inside a person like that. Candace then uncovered something even stranger. The exact area where Charlie was standing was repaved within 48 hours. People couldn't believe how fast that happened. Why was there such a rush to cover the ground? And what's even wilder is that there were underground access points and old tunnels under that stage area. So now people are openly asking whether the shot could have come from below instead of from some rooftop distance, a theory that no one's allowed to discuss without getting attacked instantly. And now let's talk about the people inside the organization who are staying extremely quiet. First is Tyler Bauer, the COO. There have been rumors about him getting uncomfortably close to interns, all of them full-grown adults, and people inside have raised eyebrows about his behavior long before this situation even happened. He's also connected to a very unusual orphanage project overseas that looked strange to people who dug into it.
I think it's the most responsible. Why would they want him gone?
I think Charlie was not allowed to be anything but a Christian Zionist. And he was changing in the last few weeks. When I look at the timeline that I put together, some weird stuff, this Egyptian plane that was started tracking him, everything began ratcheting up after Tucker Carlson hit the stage. And
in July.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I was there for that. Yeah.
That
pissed him off.
That was a something.
Yeah.
And here's the detail that made even more people pause. He's the one who introduced Charlie to Erika in the first place. Was that just coincidence? Was it strategic? We don't know, but it's absolutely worth noting because the timing is wild. Then there's Mikey McCoy. He became chief of staff in January 2024. Long before any of this happened, insiders said he was being groomed to take over major responsibilities, almost like the leadership plan was already being shaped around him. His father, Rob McCoy, co-chairs the faith division in the same organization, which means that family already held serious influence. After Charlie's incident, nothing changed. The power structure stayed completely intact. Doesn't that feel a little too convenient? And there's this faith-based angle that keeps popping up. Tyler Bauer speaks fluent Russian, studied Soviet-era culture, and got involved with projects overseas connected to orphanages and humanitarian work. People online keep wondering why individuals with these backgrounds and connections somehow keep forming the same circle around Erika, Charlie, and the organization's leadership, and why nobody inside wants to talk about any of it. The deeper you look, the stranger it gets, Mike, and every piece raises a brand new question. Everything surrounding this situation keeps getting stranger, and the deeper people dig, the more the entire story starts feeling like a maze with no honest guide inside it. While Candace keeps shouting that something big is being hidden, the people closest to the center are still acting like nothing unusual ever happened. That disconnect alone has the internet buzzing because it feels like everyone is reading two different stories at the same time, the public getting one version and insiders playing by a totally different script. As days passed, people expected cracks to appear, statements to shift, or someone from the inside to finally break the silence, but instead it got even weirder.
So I think Charlie was done, as Megan showed the video. He was telling Tucker to go max. All of the things that they lied about, we've now proven. And why were they lying about it? That's why, this is the thing. Why lie if you have nothing to cover up? That's my common sense here. You only lie because you have something to cover up. No matter what the lie is, you only lie because there's something that you're hiding. So if they had all come out right when Charlie died, If Seth Dillon, who pressed Charlie in the Hamptons, was like, oh my gosh, my biggest regret is the last time I saw Charlie.
Every person tied to leadership suddenly closed ranks, from staffers to board members, almost like someone sent out a memo telling everyone to stick to the same polished lines. That kind of perfect alignment only happens when people are being heavily coordinated or heavily watched. Either way, it had folks online saying the vibe didn't feel organic at all. Candace pointed out something that blew up online: the sudden rise of Erika's influence. People aren't mad that she stepped up. They're confused that she stepped up this fast with no hesitation, no visible panic, and no public demand for answers. Instead, she walked into high-level meetings, took over messaging, and began positioning herself as the new voice before the investigation even had time to breathe. That speed alone shocked people because grief usually slows someone down, not pushes them forward like a rocket. And while Erika stayed polished, the internal structure around her stayed even more polished. Not a single executive seemed off, shaken, or worried. They all moved like a team that already knew the next steps, and that scared a lot of people. It made the public wonder whether these folks had been preparing for a shift long before anything happened, because no group handles chaos with this much calm unless they had a plan in place. Candace also pointed out something wild. Nobody inside the organization ever slipped with their words, made a mistake, or sounded unsure. Every single person spoke with the same exact tone: moving forward, healing, continuing the mission, and honoring his legacy. Normally, when something this heavy hits a team, everyone expresses it differently. But here, it was copy-paste energy from every direction, almost like someone approved the language before anybody opened their mouth, and then things got even more suspicious.
It's so easy to be in a position of feeling regret when you lose someone you love. And I tried to read a book by C.S. Lewis because he lost the love of his life. He was only married to her for 4 years. It's called A Grief Observed. And it was a very hard book to read. Not because it was about grief, but because in the opening pages he talked about how angry he was with God.
Different witnesses who were present began saying they felt pressure not to speculate and not to add confusion, even though their recollections were important. Some said they were told to stop talking about what they saw until an official statement was released. That alone made the whole situation feel like a controlled narrative, not a search for truth. Let's talk about the staffers nearest to the scene, because their behavior makes people question everything. Some were moving equipment around only minutes after the incident instead of locking the area down. A few rushed to secure electronics and cables instead of helping with crowd control. Others were whispering with supervisors before authorities even arrived. And none of that normalizes under shock, and it only normalizes under instruction. Even more puzzling, several insiders who were very active online before suddenly vanished from social media. Some deleted posts, others locked their accounts, and a few hasn't been heard from publicly since the day everything happened. When people asked basic questions, they got silence, complete silence, which only pushed more questions into the spotlight. Candace highlighted another detail that had viewers stunned. Nobody seemed emotional in real time. Most staffers looked confused, sure, but not shaken the way you'd expect. A few even appeared more focused on crowd optics than on immediate concern for Charlie. Someone in the back was seen signaling people to move a certain way, as if their priority was managing the scene instead of reacting to what just happened. That clip alone made viewers pause, replay, and question what was really going on. The biggest red flag came from how fast the organization pushed out unity messaging. Instead of urging patience until details emerged, the leadership instantly leaned into forgiveness, peace, moving on, and staying on mission. And while those are positive themes, pushing them this fast without demanding answers felt like pressure to avoid asking the real questions. People felt like they were being emotionally managed instead of being told the truth.
Fairness of it drives you crazy, and it's particularly galling in the case of Jeffrey Epstein and the whole constellation of people around Jeffrey Epstein, all of whom seem to be getting away with scams. And how do you know they're getting away with scams? I'll tell you how, because they're useless and they're rich. So how do you come to a place where some of the least impressive, most useless people who have no actual skills become billionaires? How's that legitimate? And by the way, if you ask this question, at least in Washington, it's like, oh, well, yeah, sounds like you're a socialist. Sounds like socialism. Yeah, okay, I'm a socialist now. All right. I was a Qatari agent or a bigot. Now I'm a socialist. All right. Leaving aside my committed socialism, can you answer the question?
Then came the unusual silence from outside partners, pastors, donors, speakers, and former collaborators who normally speak loudly about tragedies. This time, most of them stayed quiet or repeated the same soft wording, almost like they didn't want to get on the wrong side of whoever was now steering the narrative. Some even turned down interviews, avoiding any moment where they could be asked tough questions. That level of silence does not happen naturally around something this big. Candace also observed how Erika's public tone didn't shift at all. Not once. She went from sorrowful widow to powerful spokesperson in a way that felt almost rehearsed. She didn't stumble on her words. She didn't break down in interviews. She didn't show anger or frustration. Instead, she kept repeating polished lines that looked like they came straight from a strategist's notebook. Even her hand gestures matched previous speeches she's done. Same tone, same rhythm, same composure. And this part really set people off. Erika didn't ask for the public's help finding answers. Usually, when someone loses their partner in a sudden incident, they go to the media, they urge officials to investigate harder, they ask witnesses to come forward. But Erika didn't do any of that. No calls for transparency, no press conferences demanding updates, no emotional moments begging for clarity. It was all, we forgive, we move forward, and we stay focused. And then there's the missing footage, the biggest mystery haunting this entire case. The public still hasn't seen the full angles from the venue, even though dozens of cameras should have captured everything. People expected at least a partial release, blurred, edited, something, but nothing has surfaced. Officials haven't released it, the organization hasn't released it, and the staffers who handled the equipment aren't talking. And when footage disappears or stays locked away, the silence becomes louder than any statement ever could. As days pass, the public keeps asking the same question. Why does everything feel too clean, too polished, too controlled? Why does every piece look like it was handled by a team that already knew exactly what to do? And how is everyone inside the organization staying so synchronized when the outside world is demanding answers? Every new detail feels like another missing puzzle piece, and the picture gets more confusing, not clearer. A lot of people inside that organization share the same background. Some are tied to faith communities like Mormon groups, and others have connections across Eastern Europe. And right before everything happened, Charlie had reportedly been shifting his beliefs, leaning closer to Catholic ideas and stepping away from certain political faith movements.
How did Bill Ackman get $9 billion? Bill Ackman, a pretty impressive guy? I know Bill Ackman. No. Bill Ackman's like well-connected and super aggressive. That's it. And I think, well-connected, super aggressive people deserve a fair living like everybody else. But if you're accruing $9 million just because you're willing to do anything, I don't know why we have to pretend that's good. How did Epstein get 4 Gulfstreams? How did he get an island, a massive ranch in New Mexico, the biggest house in New York? Like, what is that? Like, at some point, the basic economics really matter. And they matter because not that it's bad that rich people are getting richer, it's bad that everyone else is getting poorer.
While all of that was happening, donors were pushing him hard about his stance on Israel, pressuring him to stay in a specific lane. Candace didn't hold back. She said this whole thing feels like a hostile takeover of a company, not a natural leadership change. In her words, people inside the organization betrayed Charlie, and she warned that anyone involved should run now before the truth catches up. But then she dropped the biggest shock of all. She says someone in that organization has a text from Charlie sent the day before everything happened, and it said, "They are going to erase me." Those were his words, and she claims it wasn't taken lightly. That message hit everyone hard because it sounded like he sensed danger coming his way. It raises a brutal question. Who was he worried about, and why would anyone want him gone? This is where the investigation twists into territory that feels unreal. Just a few days before the incident, a military plane from Egypt reportedly landed in Provo. The plane arrived packed and left mostly empty only hours after Charlie lost his life. A second Egyptian aircraft left 3 days later, and here's the detail that made viewers freeze. This specific aircraft has been tracked near the organization's faith events for years. Candace says the timeline is too clean to ignore. From 2023 through 2025, every time those Egyptian military planes arrived in the US, they touched down close to where these faith events were happening. Nebraska, same pattern. Kansas, same pattern. And the Utah stop, that was the last documented arrival before Charlie's incident. Then there are the money questions that no one is racing to clarify. Insiders claim Charlie himself didn't even know where all the funds were coming from or where they were ending up. He apparently created a small internal team to dig into those finances because things weren't adding up. Multiple people told Candace cash was moving in and out too fast to track. Huge sums, strange withdrawals, unusual deposits. One contributor in the faith division, Sean Foy, was accused of using ministry funds incorrectly and moving money into personal expenses. And the donor pressure? That part is chilling. After Tucker Carlson gave a speech criticizing Israel, some major donors allegedly panicked. Soon after, Charlie was flown to the Hamptons for what people call an intervention about his views. Then things got even stranger. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu reportedly called Charlie personally, invited him to visit, and offered major funding support. Charlie said no because, according to the story, he didn't know where the money was coming from. Less than 2 weeks later, he lost his life. Could it be a coincidence? Sure. But it's the kind of coincidence that makes anybody look twice. Then there's the FBI's confusing behavior. At first, officials said Tyler Robinson turned himself in and confessed. Later, they said he wasn't cooperating and refused to answer questions. Both can't be true at the same time, so what's real? Even the text messages they released looked odd to people. One supposedly said, "Remember, it was only me, don't look for anyone else." Almost nobody texts like that. It felt too scripted, too perfectly worded, too neat. And then the claim that a bullet had an engraving. Gun experts said that caliber couldn't physically hold an engraving like that without breaking apart. Kash Patel stepped in only after massive pressure online, pushing the FBI to release some kind of statement about the theories going around. They addressed things like hand gestures, aircraft transponders, and bullet trajectories. Fine, but they didn't show actual evidence. They didn't drop documents, videos, or proof. And that's why Candace snapped back with, "You're playing defense because you haven't been playing offense." Mainstream outlets jumped on her instantly, labeling her a conspiracy theorist, but avoiding the actual inconsistencies. Anyone asking questions gets called unchristian or disrespectful, and certain influencers are pushing that message especially hard, almost like they're trying to protect something. Then Erika stepped in and called for court cameras, saying she wants transparency. But people clapped back, and if transparency is the goal, then why hasn't she released the footage or documents the organization already owns? Critics say she wants to appear open without actually opening anything. And when you look at everything else happening, that honestly fits the pattern. This story isn't just about one man losing his life. It's about power, money, foreign ties, faith networks, and influence circles that reach far deeper than anyone expected. There's a long pattern of strange incidents happening near people working close to military or intelligence environments. Investigators still talk about journalists like Michael Hastings, whose car exploded after he exposed a U.S. general. His case was full of odd timing and sudden silence. Convenient incidents happen when people push too close to something sensitive. Candace has been studying what she calls faith infiltration for months, and what she found definitely raises eyebrows. She says multiple scandals are linked back to Calvary Chapel networks. She even mentioned Lou Taylor, known for involvement in Britney Spears' conservatorship, having connections into those circles. There's also a history of intelligence agencies recruiting heavily from LDS and Mormon communities. And some Christian Zionist groups reportedly use messaging control as a tactic to keep political voices aligned. And the money from megachurches? People keep pointing at situations like Joel Osteen's wall cache discovery, mysterious funds appearing and disappearing with no clear explanation. Charlie's old messages make everything feel heavier. Back in 2018, he texted Candace saying, "I might not see the end of this revolution. I dream about dying young all the time. I knew from the start of TPUSA that I might get wiped out. And the final moment that people can't shake is what he told Tucker Carlson backstage, go hard on Israel." Days later, donors demanded he shift his views. He said no. And shortly after, his life ended. The dots form a picture nobody wants to admit looks real. So where do things stand now? Erika continues doing interviews and running the organization like nothing has changed. There's zero major coverage on the investigation gaps. Tyler Robinson is still in custody with no public trial date. And Candace? She hasn't stopped for 1 second, even while people threaten her, drag her, and try to silence her. Her message is simple. I demand truth. Christ is truth. You can forgive, but you must also seek accountability. The only person who can stop me is Erika Kirk herself. If she asks me to stop, I'm not backing down. If telling the truth makes me crazy, call me insane. Now it's your turn. Think about everything we just broke down. Do Erika's actions seem normal for someone who lost a partner in such a shocking way? Does this feel like grief? Or a cover-up dressed as healing? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like, subscribe, share, and let me know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one.